Welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Helly
and
Tyler Hamilton.
All right, and we are back this week. We're not talking about Final Destination 2, okay?
Not yet.
Sorry if you tuned in thinking, man, I can't wait to see some more teenagers get killed.
But there are spooky elements to this
Yeah.
to our movie today.
Super spooky movie for you. We're talking Bridget Jones is... I almost said Bridget Jones' Diary. Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy.
Yes. The fourth film in
That's
the
right,
franchise.
the fourth film. And we are not here by ourselves. We have a very special guest. She is coming on for the fifth time.
Five Timers Club, first person.
Our good friend, author Maureen Lee Lenker is here. Maureen.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be back. I'm always glad to have more Bridget in my life.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Me too.
And Maureen is the, resident romance expert at Entertainment Weekly and rom-coms and all that. And you just came out with your second book.
I did. It's called His Girl Hollywood, and it is about a female director in 1937 getting her shot to direct a studio film. And the leading man is the current toast of Broadway, but he also happens to be the boy that she grew up with, the boy next door that she's always carried a torch for, but now she has to have him come back into her life when they haven't spoken for 10 years.
Would you say she's mad about him?
I would say she's mad at him.
Oh.
That's
Great,
right.
great.
That's right. Awesome. Well, that's really exciting. I'm just excited that you. I feel like we just recently had you on talking about your first book, and I was already like, oh my god, another book! That's amazing. Where can people? I mean, I'm sure it's available, in bookstores everywhere. But do you have like a preferred place you'd like people to try to grab it from?
I would just say, if people would like a signed copy, I'm on the author signing program with the Ripped Bodice. So if you order a signed copy through them, they have me come in to do signings quarterly, and then they ship all those out. So
Nice.
If you want it personalized, you can do that. Otherwise, whatever floats your boat. But the Ripped Bodice is near and dear to my heart. Or there are a bunch more romance bookstores popping up around the country, so I would suggest you support one of them.
Yeah, the Rip. I finally made a trek out to the Ripped Bodice a few months ago here in LA. So if you're in LA, it's really great store to check out.
It's fantastic, yeah.
Although every time I do walk through a Barnes & Noble, I consider it the Lord's work to go to the romance section, look for Maureen's book, and then turn them so that they're facing the front, like the way that they do it.
Yes.
Even if it's like not like that, I move things around until it is facing front.
I have to say, Barnes & Noble's been very good to me. They always have copies of my book. It's very rare I walk into a Barnes & Noble and they don't. And oftentimes it is already facing out, which is nice.
It's because I was there. No, just kidding.
I was gonna say the Barnes & Noble at the Grove even gave it one of their
Ooh.
staff selects little cards
Ooh.
for a while. So
Oh, there you go.
Amazing.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Congratulations. I hope people get a
Yeah,
chance
it's
to check
incredible.
it out.
Thank you.
All right. Well, before we get too far into things, Eliz, where can people reach out to us?
Yeah, you can send us an email or your diary entries or whatever you'd like to sequelrights@gmail.com or find us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube at Sequel Rights.
And rate and review us wherever you're listening. 5 stars helps other people find the show. If you've already done that, share out some of your other episodes. We have all the other Bridget Jones movies back in the back catalog. If you are just joining us now, go back and listen to all of Maureen's previous appearances.
Yeah, I love that. Maureen, you were on for, I believe, Bridget Jones' Diary, the first one, and now we have you on
I
for
was.
what's supposed to be the last one, I think. So,
Yes.
although, I don't know.
Who knows?
I would love it there to be more.
Dot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting to get a fourth one. So if
That's
they,
true.
10 years from now want to give us a fifth, I wouldn't complain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Bridget Jones dates Paddington.
Oh, no.
Bridget Jones.
Oh my God.
The crossover everyone wants.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it here. We're going to talk about Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy.
In life, there are memories that will never leave us.
I like you very much, just as you are.
But sometimes, those memories are suddenly
Bridget.
all we're left with.
Ah, Mrs. Darcy?
Mr. Wallaker.
Why is your granny wearing pajamas?
Bridget, you're a widow with 2 wonderful children. My advice to you is put your own oxygen mask on first.
You just have to get laid.
Shaz is right.
Oh my god.
It's been 4 years now.
You're effectively a nun. A very, very naughty nun.
I've set you up on Tinder.
What's Tinder? Mummy! Mabel's stuck up the tree! We're going to die!
Everything all right, Mrs. Darcy?
Oh my god. We've climbed a magical man tree.
Hello?
All right.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I hope everyone had a good time watching the Peacock original film this previous week.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know, Maureen, if you have any insight on this or if we have any guesses, like why the heck this just went to Peacock and not to any theaters.
I am so perplexed by this decision. This is not the case in the UK.
Yeah,
it has a theatrical
I saw that.
release in the UK. And then for some reason, they just chose to kind of dump it on Peacock. I was honestly expecting it to be a fairly bad movie because of that decision. And it's good. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand why they've sort of just put it on Peacock at all. I mean, it was a great thing to do on Valentine's Day, just like staying in, but I'm sure it would have done really well at the box office had it been a Valentine's Day release too. So I don't have any insight. This was actually supposed to be my beat at work, and then I got very sick after Sundance, and I couldn't go to the junket, so somebody else had to do it for me.
Sad.
Yeah, it's doubly baffling to me because it's not like they couldn't have cut a trailer that showed like there's tons of star power in this, like there's tons of moments, like you could have marketed it to a place where you would have done well.
I also feel like, after watching this movie and seeing where it goes, there was like so many freaking weird movies in the theaters during the holidays this season, other than Wicked. Yeah. Like they could have put it in like around the Christmas time or
even
whatever.
New Year's.
Yeah.
New
And
Year's.
I feel like it would have played gangbusters. This is exactly one of those movies that are like, oh, it serves an audience that always shows up that, isn't going to see these other quote unquote blockbuster films because they don't care. And this would have, I think, been a blockbuster itself.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I really liked how it picked up the spirit of Christmas time that the first film has, because the other two don't really have that aspect quite as much. And I thought that was a nice sort of bookend to the first film.
Yeah.
Better callbacks.
Yeah. And it's just sad because it's like, who has Peacock other than, I guess, us?
Well, I mean, The Traitors is like the biggest show in the world right now.
Yeah,
for idiots who stream things like me.
I'm not gonna lie, Peacock is getting more bang for its buck than a lot of streaming services lately.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking.
Fair.
Even my parents were like, my dad was like, I'm going to cancel Peacock as soon as The Traitors ends. And I was like, okay, great.
I also think it's like there's a super cheap tier compared to some of the other ones.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, I definitely lately have watched Peacock more than Netflix. So.
Yeah, same.
Oh, wow.
But like for this movie, mine had definitely has commercials, but it didn't in the movie. It just made me watch commercials for like 2 minutes at the beginning.
Like
and then there were no breaks. So that was nice.
I pay for ad free, so.
Oh,
mine just started after the Peacock original logo.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Maureen, have you read the book upon which this is based?
No, I've read the first Bridget Jones, but I haven't read the sequel. And I know a lot of people were kind of expecting the third movie to pick up on that book because it came out right around the same time. And then I guess they decided to make something up sort of whole cloth for the third film and completely diverge from the plot of the books. But then this one returned to it. I do remember when it came out, people were really angry that they killed off Mark Darcy. And so that's pretty much my extent of my memory of being like, well, I'm not reading that if they killed him.
Yeah, I was reading. They did like I can't remember if it was on Deadline or what, but they did a interview with Helen Fielding, and they were talking about how that like was on the evening news, like Mark Darcy dead, like it was a big deal, which is so funny.
It's because she lost her own spouse, right?
Oh wow,
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think she said she wrote it because it was like the end of her own fairy tale in a way, and she wanted to explore what that experience was in Bridget's life, having lived it herself.
Yeah. Well, I definitely remembered when that happened. He was, that he died, and the trailers make it clear that he's passed away by this point. But I did not think that he would be killed by a landmine in the Sudan. I was like, I thought they were gonna say like, oh, he got cancer and it was very sad and he died. But they're like, no, he blew up into smithereens. Okay,
which I think is the same way.
He was a victim of a terrorist attack.
Yeah. Like, oh my God,
he went out like a hero.
Yeah, I guess it's cool. Yeah. So yeah, that was very surprising to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite shocking. I was like, really? He couldn't just have had like a heart attack?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I thought he was gonna get hit by a bus when she was like, he was killed, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy because then it's like, then his death is like all over the news, and it's like there's news clippings because it was a big deal. Like, he didn't just pass away in his sleep or something. Yeah.
Wild.
Where else do we pick up with Bridget?
I was just gonna say that this movie had me like in tears a little bit, like within the first 5 minutes. It's like, it's just like I really like how they. I mean, since we are talking about Mark Darcy, I really like how they used him in the movie and the scenes where he appears, like basically like a ghost. He
like Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can she see dead people? Yeah. But I just really liked how it was just really well done, and it felt true to how it might feel when you lose someone like that suddenly. You might still feel literally like they're there with you doing the same things, or you see them in your mind and all that stuff.
Yeah, but I like how they never actually conversed, because I hate it in movies
when
that happens.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it was done really elegantly in a way that made it like painful. That made that really feel the loss in that moment. And it's rare that something like that gets me. And I was just like, well done, cinema language, well done.
Yeah, I absolutely thought it was so poignant in the way that it was approached throughout the film from beginning to end. And I thought that they did an extraordinarily good job of balancing like the gravity and the groundedness that would give Bridget in her grief, and the fact that this is like a very painful, terrible situation, but also still like never lost her silliness that made us fall in love with her in the first place. And it's really hard to strike a balance between those two things, and I think this film did a brilliant job of it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Renee Zellweger is so good. She's just great.
So good.
It's so fun to watch in this, and her character. I just love that, like, even though she's dealing with these like horrible things, I still feel like she goes through her life with so much like energy and like joy, and just kind of like the way she reacts to things and everything is just so fun to watch. And it's, I really enjoyed her performance.
Yeah.
She to this day is the only American that I feel like is allowed to play a British person. She's the only one that's any good at it.
You're like looking it up like, whoa. She's from Texas? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did they let her do this?
Yeah. And then we get Hugh Grant back. I totally forgot that he died in the last movie. They said that they went to his funeral. I totally forgot about that. I had to go like look it up. But yeah,
they explained it with a lingering shot on a newspaper.
Yeah, he miraculously came back from the dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and had a son at some point.
Enzo.
I don't remember when that was ever mentioned before, but
I was kind of thrilled they brought him back to life, though. Like, I thought it was sort of a cop out that they killed him off in the third film so that they could bring in Patrick Dempsey instead, and so I love that they brought him back, and I thought they found a really nice way to sort of evolve the relationship between him and Bridget and where they are at in their lives. And I really loved the Uncle Daniel and his relationship with her kids. I thought that was so cute and touching, and he actually has like a few tear-jerking moments in the film as well. Like, man, Hugh Grant, I've always loved him, but I feel like this last 10 years, like he is in such a stride in his career and like continually knocking it out of the park.
Yeah. He's got some great moments. I love all the scenes of him like teaching the kids how to make martinis and stuff.
A dirty bitch.
That's how you know they're like just way more. They're less pearl clutchy in the UK about alcohol because that would never fly here. Like,
oh
no
yeah,
way.
no, that is so exemplary. Okay, there actually is a cocktail called a filthy bitch. I had to look it up.
All right.
And there's also a variation called a nasty bitch. Got it. Okay. Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I think one thing about the trailers too is that it sets up that like she's gonna have a thing with a young guy that's Leo Woodall, but if you don't know the language of the rom-coms and like Jane Austen stories, you might not know from the trailer that like Chiwetel Ejiofor is gonna be her love interest, like depending on which trailer you saw or whatever. Like sometimes you wouldn't even barely know he was in the movie.
Yeah,
it was so weird.
I would say that my greatest like complaint about the film is that I don't think they did a good job balancing the two relationships. Like it feels like two halves of a different movie. And she's consistent throughout, and I like her through line and her arc, but yeah, it didn't, you know, the other films have done a really great job of putting her in this love triangle and having her like waffling between two men. And this wanted to do that, but then it didn't do that. It just like told one of their stories.
Right, it was like two back-to-back things. It was not a triangle.
Yeah, I did feel that too at the end when they were like, you know, he was like professing his love and everything, and I was like, I don't feel like this is fully earned. It did kind of feel like she wasn't really thinking of him at all until she saw him take his shirt off, and then it was like, oh wow, okay.
But that's fair. In a movie, he was more cut than the young guy.
That's That's true.
I also loved in this movie with ghosts when they get like, oh, let's just all sleep in this abandoned barn. Like, this is the start of a completely different movie.
Yes.
That was so funny. That kid that was like, what's the Wi-Fi password?
Honestly,
like, these kids are gonna start getting picked up one by one.
The only reason that I felt that it was slightly earned was the fact that it was a callback to when she chases Mark Darcy in the snow at the end of the first film. And so you had all the emotional resonance and history of that moment feeding this new moment. Otherwise, it would have totally fallen flat.
Yeah.
And I do love that they just unabashedly are like, every man in this franchise has to get really wet and take off his shirt or have his shirt sticking to him at some point, because otherwise, like, how do you know if he's even worth anything?
Yeah.
So yeah, Leo Woodall got his, like, you know, Darcy.
That was such a
moment
funny
as well,
sequence when he arrives late to the party and then just immediately dives into the pool to save the dog. That was like, I was like, this is an amazing
also, that
moment.
dog could swim.
Yeah.
I don't know why everyone was freaking out. The dog looked fine.
They were like, what? It's gonna die. It was so funny. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was also like, I don't trust this guy because of
the
White
young
Nose.
guy.
Yeah.
Oh well. So I've been joking around lately because every time I open Apple TV to watch like Severance or something, I see this big thing that's like Prime Target or whatever that show is. And it's like Leo Woodall is a math genius. And every time I see the words math genius, I immediately I'm like, what? I'm not watching that show. Leo Woodall is not a math genius. I refuse to believe this. But I don't know. Maybe he is. It was weird. So like,
no, I think Rockster is a better.
Oh my god, that is not a real name. P.S.
Yeah, that's not a name.
It sounds like a character from Kingdom Hearts.
Like British people do have weird names, but
Sure.
I have never ever heard of anyone having the name Rockster.
It
was
almost
very odd.
It made me feel like it was a play on, and there's a reason that I know this, and it has nothing to do with the royals, but there's this royal named Lady Amelia Cunningham, who her fiance at one point, I think they got married, was this water polo player, but his nickname was the Grizz. and, and I felt like that was an actual joke about the Grace.
That's
I
terrible.
do feel like if there was someone named Ruxter for real in the UK, he should definitely be the member of a boy band because that's the only place he belongs.
Yeah. It's, and you know, obviously these are two consenting adults. There's no one's, you know, disagreeing with that, but it's, you know, you do the math and it's really weird. And I don't want to be a prude about it, but it's really weird. Like
she does, like, I will give the movie credit for like not shying away from it though. Like she has a line where she's like, "Is he closer to my age or to
the
my
son?"
son?
Yeah,
right.
Well, it's like she's 55, he's 28, right? So that's a 27-year difference. Like she could have been his mom and not even been a young mom. Like they would have been like, "This is a high risk pregnancy" or whatever, you know, because everybody knows that happens after like 26 or whatever.
Is her character 55 or Renee's just 55?
I don't know if they ever said her character's name. I didn't catch it, but Renee is 55. But I did find out that in real life, her boyfriend or fiance or whoever he is 10 years younger than her. And she would tell Ejiofor is 8 years younger than her.
Okay.
So like, you know, whatever, get it, girl, right? But like, oh my God, 27 years difference? That's crazy. I mean,
I thought that the second act of this movie could have just been the short form version of Baby Girl.
Well, I definitely, I bought the relationship and I really liked it, but you definitely knew it was never going to work out.
Sure,
because of
yeah.
that huge age gap.
I mean, I think I did the math too. That would be like if Tyler and I ended up with someone who is 10 years old right now. Okay. Think about any 10year-olds you might know.
I don't like that math.
Would you want to? I don't know.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
So, you know, whatever.
That's crazy.
No shame. I'm not shaming her at all.
I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
That gets a whistle. That's all I have.
It's an essential tool.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
If I hear anything I don't like, you get the whistle.
The whistle was really aggressive.
Well, just like Mr. What's his butt?
I keep thinking it's Whitaker, but it's like Wallaker.
Wallaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really likes his whistle too.
Yeah. It's a Captain Von Trapp situation.
It really is.
Yeah.
Ladies love a stern brunch daddy with a whistle.
Who doesn't believe in heaven?
Yeah. Okay. So that was also really severe.
Strange spotlight.
Very severe. I don't know. Like
he was not getting the hint during that.
That's
fake
another like thing that I'm like, this
telecast.
is definitely not in America. Because in America, you would be like not only fired but tarred and feathered for telling some kid that heaven doesn't exist and his dad is in the ground, you know, disintegrating or whatever. You know, like it's just like,
yeah.
Oh my God, he was so vehement about it, even though he knew the entire time that they had a dead dad, and he just was hammering on that discussion. The kid's like eyes are like watering, and
and he gives him a C because he's like, heaven isn't real. You failed.
What would Kevin Sorbo have to say?
He's like, you know, I think one thing that made the second half of the film tricky too is that they make him so unlikable in sort of his intensity about those sorts of things, and he is kind of judgmental and not very nice to Bridget in the beginning either. And so you do start to wonder, like, is it just that he took his shirt off? Like, I think they needed to build that a little more and have more of a genuine apology and change of heart from him, because it's not like Daniel Hugh Grant's character where like he's a cad, but you love him because he's a cad.
Yeah, I mean, months or weeks at least passed between career day and the camping trip where he has a change of heart and instead gives like a Mufasa like speech to a kid. But it's like kind of
all
like
happens after the shirt
it took
comes
you
off.
that long to realize that you were a total dick like to this kid. Like that's really messed up.
Well, and I also love the timing of that too, where she comes out, she's like, well, I've put all the children to bed, now let's have a conversation. And then she's like, oh, now he comes out, like, now it's your turn. It was
I did like that he came around though and like gave a good scientific answer that like he wasn't capitulating like heaven is real, but he was like,
yeah, sure.
He gave a good answer that kind of, you know.
Also, Chiwetel Ejiofor is Scar in the
yes.
quote unquote live action, but yet he gave a very Mufasa
that's true
sounding speech in this one.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was a moving speech, though. I will give him credit for that.
Yeah, it worked. It
was well performed.
I also was like, maybe headcanon that this is like Love Actually, you know, if that guy if Chiwetel Ejiofor divorced Keira Knightley after the
oh my God.
cue card incident.
My mom said the same thing.
Really? Okay, because I was like, yeah, he would be obviously scarred from that experience. And so that's why he's a jerk. And then he comes around.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's official. Bridget Jones and Love Actually exist in the same universe.
Pretty much everyone's there.
Daniel Cleaver's twin is the prime minister.
Yeah.
Do you think Eli is somewhere between where they had that like, you know, business day in the classroom and the field trip that he maybe like started taking some sort of mental performance shot that helped maybe bring things into focus a little bit for him?
He might have. He was just really
realized
confused.
that he needs to kind of step up.
Yeah,
and
going to
give a
school
better
every
answer.
day was tough. And so maybe he got his hands on some magic mind.
He might have. I think he did. And you know what? You can too.
Yes, because Magic Mind is a really cool mental performance shot. It's like a little green juice kind of shot. And it has a lot of great ingredients, vitamins and adaptogens that are good for you and kind of get your daily routine going. And of course, it's got, you know, matcha and caffeine to really like boost you. And you can have it, you know, with coffee or without. And we, you know, have been lucky enough to get a bunch of Magic Mind to try since we've been doing this partnership with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have it in my fridge because there's no food in my fridge, whereas Justin has a family with food in the fridge. And so, you know, I have made it part of my morning routine. And one kind of experiment that they suggest is to sort of like not take any for like a week and then take it for a week later and see the difference. And I think that it really, days that you don't take it are just like a little bit more sluggish and kind of slow to get going. And, you know, you still eventually kind of like get to really good like flow state or whatever. But when you have the Magic Mind, it's a much like quicker process to sort of get there is what I noticed.
That's great.
So it sounds like, you know, without it, it's Bridget pre-sex with a 28-year-old and going back to work. And then after it is like Bridget going back to the working world and having lots of good orgasms.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Now that's selling a product.
Yes.
That's right. She's taking the Magic Mind to have less stress.
Yeah, you'll have what she's having.
Exactly. Well, if all of that makes you interested in trying Magic Mind, I think you really should, because we love it here at Sequel Rights, and we have a special deal for you guys that's going on right now. It's a limited time offer that gets you up to 48% off your first subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase with the code I'm going to give you right now. It's SRights20. The code is SRights20. The letter S, the word rights, and then the numbers 20. And you use that at checkout, and you can get that 40% off your first subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase. And in order to do that and use the code, you just need to go to magicmind.com/srights. magicmind.com/srights. Use the code srights20 and get some money off your order. And enjoy some Magic Mind. It'd be great. And yeah. So let's get back. Yeah. Let's get back to Bridget Jones. Why is she so mad about that boy? Is she mad as in the good kind of mad, or the mad like angry?
It's fine, you know, to have a boy toy fling sort of situation, but she really does take it pretty far. Like she kind of starts falling. She
really gets him involved with the kids.
That's the part that I was like raising my eyebrow.
You're already grieving. Like, please don't like introduce another man that's going to disappear from their lives.
She's literally asking the postman, like, are you my new dad?
I was going to say, to be fair, her daughter is getting every guy involved in her life.
Yeah.
True.
I felt like it
really
was particularly sad. I forget who she was even talking to, but when she was like, how am I going to raise these kids when, you know, he's forgetting his dad, and she never even met him really. Like, and so that was really sad. And it kind of made sense when Daniel, before we even really meet the kids, he is already saying like, he's exactly like Mark and she's exactly like you. And I think that continued throughout the movie, that the girl was really a lot like Bridget, kind of like, well, yes, this horrible depressing thing happened to me, but oh well, are you gonna be my new dad? You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, and kind of no filter. Just says whatever comes to mind, as Bridget so often does as well.
And these are really cute kids too. There's no child star check-in because they literally filmed this movie like yesterday.
None of them have started up a crack den or anything?
Nope, nothing like that. The little boy, he was in a Halo TV show. But the little girl literally, you know, is being introduced, and it says that in the credits. They're introducing both of them. So, but yeah, super cute.
Yeah, I thought they were both great.
I was kind of on the fence about the whole nanny situation. Like, I understood why Bridget needed that, and it like was a good plot line. But the whole thing about her like being super hot and young and threatening to Bridget was kind of odd and felt tonally off from a lot of the rest of the movie. I honestly was expecting Ruxter to like have an affair with her, or, you know, her to catch him with
but then
her
I started doing more math, and I was like, no, it's not. It's too far. Like, you know. But yeah, I did start to think that maybe things were cut out of the movie, and like. And, you know, you don't want to say, oh, the only two black people in the movie might be related. But the way that Nico Parker, like, reacted the first time that Bridget, like, says all this bad stuff about Mr. Wallace or whatever in front of her, it made me think that she, like, knew him or something. Because they had really focused on her reaction for some reason. And so I was like, okay, is it going to come out that they, like, know each other or something? But nope, never happened. And, like, we never really, the character doesn't really do anything or, like, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was kind of like, you know, just like a real side story, I think.
Yeah. And so another thing that's really weird that made me think a lot was cut out, but apparently not, is this like 2-second appearance from Isla Fisher. Like she's like the neighbor. And so I thought for sure, like, okay, this must have been to set up something that got completely cut out of the movie or something. But I read an interview and they were like, no, we just wanted somebody like really pretty and cool to do a cameo, and she did it. And it was like, what?
It was so random.
Yeah, and really especially because they had like announced that she was like cast in the film. Like,
yeah, that's weird.
But yeah, I mean, I guess if you think about it, all the other cameos like Jim Broadbent, Emma Thompson, you know, whatever, they're really short. The mom and
but they're all characters that like pre-existed
right
in this universe.
And were motivated and brought something to like her journey in this.
It was very strange. I mean, good for her to do a cameo. That's really nice.
The thing that the script is, I guess, is maybe trying to do is that she like that's when they established the idea of like that's my hero, and then like when she sees him like kind of being a dick, that she's like also my hero, and it's like okay, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It was strange.
It was odd.
I didn't really remember like this lady from her work that was introduced in the last like her work friends that were introduced in the last movie, but it sort of came back to me. And I think it was nice to see that she is, you know, really good at her job as a producer. And
those scenes were funny too.
Yeah, I even liked when she had the little girl hold the clipboard and say like 10 seconds to air. And the little girl's yelling like cut.
Like, she's like stay on topic.
Yeah,
even though she hadn't said like anything else about what to do.
It was amazing. But yes,
so good.
You see that she is really good at her job, and all of her coworkers like her, and the audience even, you know.
I love that scene after her first like her night with Rockster, and everyone's like, did you have sex last night? Did you have sex? It was so funny. And then she just finally explodes, and it's like in front of the whole studio audience.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
And I will say, I thought too that they did a great job of, in terms of her being really good at her job and stuff like that. You know, especially in the first and second film, she's kind of like hopeless and, you know, just keeps fucking up, and you're like, okay, when are you going to get this right? And I like that she actually matured, and like you do see that she is very good at her job, whereas in the first film she's like sliding down a fireman's pole in a short skirt.
Well, and it just goes
she's
to
a
show
good
that like
mom.
not everyone is supposed to be the on-air talent. Like your strength can lie in being a producer, you know, and she really came into her own in these later films. So
Yeah.
Now we
Absolutely.
get to see her like struggle with, you know, her home life and like raising the kids instead of
Right.
like having, she's got like that part sorted out, the job sorted out. Now she's trying to figure out just how to be a good mom and everything. Yeah.
Right. And they also didn't really say anything about her like size or body or looks.
Oh
in
yeah,
this.
I was so
her
relieved
age, yes,
by
but
that.
not her looks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was the one kid saying that why is your granny in her pajamas?
Right.
But I felt like
But that was more
that
her
was
hair
fine.
and how she was
Yeah.
dressed. It wasn't like, oh,
Yeah.
she's fat, you know, like, I mean,
Right.
you had the thing with like
Plus,
the
kids are mean.
lip stain, like, or lip venom
The
type
lip
thing.
serum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even that, I mean,
That was kind
I
of
could have
funny.
just like not even had that in the film and it would
Yeah.
have been fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was the goofiest thing that happened in the entire
Yeah.
movie, but
for sure.
it was,
And I love that they brought Emma Thompson back because
Yeah.
I thought she was such a great addition to the third film, and I am just thrilled to always have her in anything. She just brings that dry humor and her abundant wit to any scene she's in, and she delivered here for sure.
That might also
Especially
be
when
the
she-
character from Love, actually. She divorced Snape, went back to school, became a gyno, and is, doing great. So, anyway.
Teaching kids how to spell syphilis.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I mean, if the lip serum gets us another scene with Emma Thompson, then like,
Yep.
so be it, you know, worth it.
Justified.
Exactly.
She's just like, you know, I'm a gynecologist, right? Not a pediatrician. Yeah. So funny. She's great. I mean, the whole movie's great.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
What
No,
else?
definitely a big step forward, though, that there's no sort of emphasis on her weight or her trying to lose weight or, you know, any of those terrible fat jokes that are in the first two films.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank God.
And then we get this talent show. I have to give props to the
Again, Love Actually plot.
Yes, I know. The two twins playing the flute. That was really funny. And I took a picture of it, sent to my friend Marcus.
I was going to ask how you felt about the flute abuse that
It was
that,
bad,
was
but
perpetrated
when
in
you're
this movie.
playing a concert or solo piece, you don't really have to worry about your flute angle. That's a marching band thing only. So it like hurts me to see it, but it's actually not wrong. So they're okay.
It was hard to listen to, but
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
But no, when
speaking of feeling like you missed things, I want to know why that awful woman who was the parent of the flute child was at the New Year's Eve party at the end. It was like, Bridget, don't invite that bitch to your party.
I guess
also
there's
she
like
was-
a message to not mom shame, and we accept all types of parenting or whatever.
but she was also like hitting on that 16-year-old kid, right?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
all.
and
it was.
wasn't
No,
that-
he was
wasn't that
hitting
the
on her,
mom?
but yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah,
yeah, but then when they're like, "Hey, all the kids are going upstairs," she's like, "He's staying here,"
right.
which was like, "Whoa, okay, that's a little creepy."
Yeah.
Little concerning.
Yeah, she had just done the Rexer math, and she was like,
I just gotta wait a little bit. Yeah. Oh God, gross. I did think her husband was funny, always being on the. He was like always on
Yeah.
a phone call.
When they were playing the flute, that sounds great. And then he's like, I'll see you at Nobu. That was really funny. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
But the talent show with her son singing the song.
Oh my
made
Oh
God.
my
me
God.
cry
That's when
the
I
most.
cried. Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
this is too much.
Yeah.
It was
Oh my
so
God.
sweet and like just such a perfect song choice. And though, you know, Mark Darcy never really struck me as a big Oliver fan, but whatever.
Yeah, I loved how that was all set up. Like, yeah, that scene early on in the movie where she's like first saying goodnight to them, and then like leaves the room, and you see him kind of like come in like he must have done when he was there, and you know he's kind of in the background, blurred out, and starting to sing the song to him. I was just like, oh my God, this is so sad.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like really wonderfully shot sequences and like and like beautiful moments. The another thing with Mark Darcy when they celebrate his birthday.
Yeah.
They have that lovely moment where they're talking about how like they're gonna post letters to Mark, and how they do that is they write these letters and put them on a balloon and take them to the park and let them go. And that beautiful shot of like just the horizon and the balloons going off. I was just like, another moment where I was just like, oh my God, this is so
it was beautiful. But then you do that and you go to school the next day and your teacher's like, that was bullshit. You're an idiot.
Your dad is worms.
That's right. He's dust. Okay. That's true.
I think that this movie does something really beautiful that is a really hard thing to do in a movie like this, where you get into the rhythm and everything's moving along really snappily, and then it gets to a point where it just pauses and lets a scene breathe or an image, and it really lets you feel that loss without trying to telegraph that. And it does that in a few different times, and it never gets to a place where it's overwhelming or it feels overly morose. It just feels like this everyday honesty of what it's like to try to live a life in the absence of somebody. And it deserves a lot more credit. It's a shame that it didn't get a theatrical release.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things where you think it might be like super sappy or something, but it all just like really lands the emotion in a way that does not feel like overwrought or anything. It just feels like really true to life, and which all of these movies have kind of had that. I think it never gets too sappy for me. I feel another sequence, like really awesome sequence that I wanted to call out is like early on in the film. Another early one where she's like going around her house and she's remembering all the different advice people have been giving her. And she's just kind of like doing things in her house. And then like every time she turns the corner, like someone else is in the room telling them their thing. And then they turn and this is the next person. Like, I thought that was like a really brilliant sequence as well. Like that it's the kind of thing that was like, this type of movie doesn't need these really cool, like staged sequences and all this like fancy, cinematography and stuff. And I just think it really elevates, her emotions and everything and her inner monologue. It's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah. It's an added bummer to not be able to see it, on a big screen, because it's might be the most well shot of all four of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there any rom-com in theaters at all? I mean, other than
around the holidays, I don't think.
Captain
America.
I don't think so. No, like right now for Valentine's Day.
No.
No.
I mean,
you can see Paddington in Peru if you need some like platonic community love.
Sure. Yeah.
Everything's on streaming.
Or the love
like,
between a
and
man and his president in Captain America.
The president. Oh boy.
A man and his many trucks, infinite trucks. I also will say that I think that I'm bummed I didn't get to this in theaters as well, because I love a movie with a good delayed title sequence, like almost with a cold open, and I feel like that was pulled off very well here.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, then they, I don't know, they've all been saying, like the commercials all said the final chapter in the Bridget Jones, but I don't know, I feel like they could definitely do more.
Yeah, they already made up one movie, they could totally do it again.
Yeah.
I thought they said that a lot for the third film too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody knows your life ends after you pop one out.
Yeah, exactly.
What good is a woman after that?
I don't want to hear about you and your baby anymore. We gave you one
I would
movie.
be curious where they'd go, because they pretty much seem to have paired her off with Mr. Wallaker, and they got to like a really healthy, fun place with Hugh Grant's character. So he's not really in the mix as a love interest anymore. So I would be interested to see like what the story would be if they were to do another one, because I think, I don't know, I'm like, they can't really break her up again. I feel like
we have to see how Bridget, adapts to being married or dating a black man, and how she fits in with his family.
Oh dear.
There's no, that won't, cause any problems, right?
No. Yeah, I don't know. It would be odd, I think, to maybe do another one, because it's like she feels like she's in such a good place.
Right.
Mr. Wallaker falls in love with Daniel. They accept that.
Right. And it's like, you can't like kill another person. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
She's killed off her dad. I also felt like that final scene with the party, where basically all of the characters who are still alive from the franchise are in that scene. It really felt like a lovely conclusion, whereas most of the previous films have ended like focused on her and her romantic partner. This really expanded to include her entire family and community and sort of tie a bow around the whole thing and not just whatever romantic relationship she's in.
Yeah.
Do you think that we should have got a ghost Darcy like the end of Return of the Jedi?
That would be amazing.
I honestly was kind of surprised they didn't do that. I was
we got-
wasn't he just like standing behind the piano?
Well, we
like,
do have that. We do have that whole thing with the owl.
Right. He reincarnated as an owl.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really sweet.
They never explicitly say that.
I don't know. I could have gone without it, I think. I don't think
just
I
thought
needed
it was
the owl.
sweet that the daughter was always like, oh, I got to see if my friend is there.
Right.
I honestly just kept waiting for the daughter to be obsessed with Harry Potter.
Yes.
With the howl.
Yeah, I was like,
it was very Harry Potter. Yeah.
We're in England and there's an owl. Like, that's the only place the story is going.
What if the owl got one of the envelopes from the balloons and then came back and get like super excited, like this is it? And it's like, oh wait, no, this is the letter I wrote my dad yesterday.
They should have shown a flying car coming into the house.
Yeah. Crossover.
Yeah. Oh my God, what?
Yeah, I don't know. And then they do like a whole like photos in the credits.
That's how you really know it's the final.
I guess like it's a Deadpool situation.
I was just like, those photos were so great because I was like, oh my God, everyone looks so young.
I totally forgot that Ed Sheeran was in the last movie, and then when that was another jump scare. I was like, oh my God, Ed Sheeran in the credits. What?
Stop. Yeah. Don't like.
I don't know.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know.
But no Dempsey, even though he promised to be a part of that kid's life, even though he wasn't the father.
Terrible.
Remember? That's how that movie ended.
Promise.
Okay.
No mention of him
I
at all.
forgot about that.
Yeah, he was like, we're gonna.
He's too busy driving race cars.
Right, he is.
Maybe he also hit a landmine.
Oh God.
He's still out fighting the Transformers.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Maureen? Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, like, he played a race car driver in Ferrari, and there's, like, a horrific accident in that. So I was like, maybe that's where he died.
Same character.
Yikes.
This is a cinematic universe. We're finding all the crossovers here.
Clearly.
Oh, man.
I mean, I'm still pro the fifth film being a Paddington Bridget Jones crossover.
Yes.
I think that's what we need.
That's what the people need.
Just completely throw away reality and just bring those characters back for fun situations. Yeah, why not?
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be great. Doesn't need to be a love story.
I mean, they already kind of did with all the ghosts in this one.
And you've got Paddington, Love Actually, and Bridget, and the through line is Hugh Grant.
Yes. Ooh, incredible.
Everyone's talking to him like he's a different character, and it's like really confusing. But he's just actually Hugh Grant. Like,
yeah.
He's like, what am I doing here? What?
Did I tell you that I, for some reason, attended the world premiere of Heretic at the Chinese theater?
Yes.
And
when he made the joke.
He made the joke, yeah. And I was like in the front row because I had like these, AFI Fest crap seats or whatever. So I was like in the front row, and I was on the opposite side of the theater. But he said that, and everybody was like, what? Like, it was like just kind of like nervous laughter, and then once everyone saw that like he was laughing, and like Sophie Thatcher started laughing, and then everyone started laughing, and it was just like, oh my God, this is so awkward. So he really knows how to make fun of himself.
He does, but he also is, or at least for a time was, a bit of a caricature of himself as well. Like he and I went to the same college at Oxford, and in the sports commons we would always, they had pictures of all the old rugby teams on the wall, and my favorite one was of course the one with Hugh Grant. But he came to a formal dinner one night while I was a student there, and of course like everyone went to the dinner to try to just see him, and I asked him, like, could I get a picture after the dinner? This was before I was a professional journalist, and he was like, oh, all right, but make it quick. I've got to go drink some port. I was like, why are you just exactly what I expect you to be?
That's incredible.
I love
Amazing.
That. Great story.
Yeah.
Oh my God. My wife was just like, he's so old.
He looked really old, but whatever. He's doing it. Was it a thing that he had like a Nokia phone in the other movies? I don't remember that at all.
Oh God, the Hello
Moto ringtone.
Yeah, that
I was like,
weird.
That was odd. Yeah, no, I don't remember that. I remember there was like dirty texting between him and Bridget, but no.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you die and lose however many years he lost. They also don't explain like where he was when everyone thought he was dead. Was he like a prisoner of war? Was he like, in a dungeon?
I believe the article said like he was marooned on an island or something.
Oh my God. There's a whole other movie right
He was
there.
just like in Italy with Enzo.
Right.
Maybe.
Could be that.
Ugh, so crazy. Oh man. But yeah, it's just like a sweet movie. I just don't understand why they buried it.
Yeah. Do you think there's a fifth film where somehow it focuses on her kids or something and not
Maybe. Yeah.
And she's not the main character, but she's in it.
Yeah, maybe. And
where they try to extend the
in like
they
15
try to extend
years,
the franchise somehow.
like when the girl's going to college or something, and Bridget's her like annoying mom.
Where it's like we don't have anything really else to say about Bridget, but we want her character to be here.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah, that could work.
But also she'll be like 70.
Either that or they just do a full reboot at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah.
Is it rating system time?
Yes.
I think it might be. Let's do it.
All right. Maureen, you already mentioned it, but the thing I was going to go for was how many not Hedwig owls would you give? Bridget Jones Mad About the Boy. Originally I was going to say Sudan landmines.
No,
that's terrible.
Oh my
God, so sad.
It's such an insane choice.
It is a very interesting choice. It makes sense. He was a human rights lawyer. I remember that, but yeah. Oh my God,
it's just wild.
No, he had to be in the line of fire.
Out of how many owls?
10
owls.
10. Yeah. Man. I'm going to give it 9 not Hedwig owls out of 10. I thought this movie was really great. I mean, honestly, it's been a while now since I've seen the other ones, but I'd have to go back and watch. But I was like, this one's really good. I don't know if it's like the best one. Maybe it is. I don't know. Or maybe, I just really like, I really like these kind of, it's one of the reasons why I like, TV shows and kind of like getting to, move through your life and watch these characters as they grow up too. And so I really kind of enjoy these types of movies where you're like checking in on these people after it's been so many years and you feel like your life has changed, their lives have changed. And you're now, it's like now I've got kids too. So I'm like starting to see some of those things. And that's why some of those scenes really like made me tear up and stuff. But I just think this movie is so much fun. And I think even if you haven't maybe watched all of them or have that whole history, like it's just a well acted, really funny, lots of heart, great performances. It's just like a home run for me, honestly. And again, it's like we've all said it a million times. It should have been in theaters, money on the table that they're just losing. I think, honestly, I hope people are watching it. It's really good.
Yeah. I'm going to go a little bit more muted than you and go for 8 owls. I do think you are turning into one of those people who's a dad now and gets way more emotional about imagining like being worried about dying or whatever and leaving your children behind.
100%.
Whereas I have nothing to live for, so I can be more cynical about these films. But no, I thought it was really great. I had a great time. It did make me cry in the talent show, but other than that, I did not cry earlier. And yeah, I do think there's just like a few weird things, like just this, like the weird sort of threads that didn't kind of like come together, the separation of the two romances, and then just kind of like Chiwetel Ejiofor being such a dick early on. It was just like a little bit too much for me, honestly. But I do think it was great, super funny, and I like how, we being doused in franchiseness all the times. We love a reference, we love an Easter egg, or whatever. But this one like was very like cute and subtle about all of them. They had like the Christmas sweater and like the blue drinks and like all these little things. But not like really hitting you over the head with it, so anyone could enjoy it even if you don't remember or didn't see the previous films. But yeah, I had a great time, but I think I'm just gonna stay at 8.
Fine.
I think I'm also going to go 8. I think that, the split narrative and the forced romance at the end felt a little rushed, but I also think there's something really beautiful, like you said, Justin, about watching these characters grow, and that there's actually like real life challenges kind of entering into this. And I think there's also something really beautiful of like Bridget Jones being this singular character, and she's always, despite the situation or what it is, she's there. It's her. She's not lost herself to grief, lost herself to, motherhood or her job or anything else that's come around. It's like that. Yes, she can have those things and be good at those things, but still kind of have this strong personhood throughout of that, which is a weird thing to say, but I think that it's also a really unique thing to actually, kind of see in a series like this.
Maureen, what about you?
I'm going to say 8.5.
Okay. Half an owl. No, one small owl. It's a small owl that's half the size.
I agree with
an owlet,
what everyone said. Like, I really loved the film, and I think it's a really strong entry out of the previous 3. To me, the first one will always be my favorite, but I thought this really took the franchise in a different direction and proved that a rom-com franchise can mature and evolve in a way that I think a lot of people don't necessarily expect them to. And honestly, a lot of the romance in it was so secondary to her personal journey, and that was the film part of the film that worked the best for me. But I do agree, like, sort of the weird split narrative with, one romance for an hour and the other for the second hour was a little clunky. But by and large, I just think it's a really poignant, beautiful film about a woman trying to rediscover herself after the love of her life has passed away, particularly when she doesn't just have to take care of herself, she has to take care of her children, and what that looks like, and what that looks like for Bridget Jones, because as you said, she's this singular character. She's never overridden by any of these things that are thrown at her. She responds to them always as we expect Bridget to respond. And I think if it does turn out to be the last one, it's a really nice grace note on the end of the franchise, because I think the previous 3 films are on the whole a lot sillier. And Eliz, I agree, like the Easter eggs were so cute. The reindeer sweater at the end was my very favorite, but there's a lot of great moments, like some of the shots recreating when Rexter jumps in the pond. It's like the exact same shots as Hugh Grant coming out of the water in the first film. And again, we talked about the running in the snow, and there's just a lot of great small little nods to those things. I liked that they went on a date in Borough Market, and it was near where Bridget's apartment in the first film is. It's a really good watch, and I think if you've grown up loving Bridget, it'll be really pleasant to watch where she's arrived in her journey through life.
Yeah. Well said. All right. Well, I think that's going to bring us to the end of our talk about Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy. Maureen, thank you so much for being here with us.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about Bridget.
That's right. It's been really fun. And, again, please, if you have a minute, check out Maureen's new book, His Girl Hollywood. Out now, in stores. You can buy it.
And then where else can people follow you or find you, Maureen?
You can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky and Threads at the Maureen Lee. You can also find all of my journalism work on EW.com.
Amazing. And don't forget to use our discount for Magic Mind if you are interested in that. It is magicmind.com/SRights and code SRights20 for 20% off one-time purchases or 48% off your first subscription.
That's right. And, I think we talked about this on our last episode, but we're kind of doing a new format this year where we're doing like 2 episodes a month. So that means that, this is it for February, but we'll be back next month talking about Final Destination 2. where we'll finally get to see if death falls in love. Okay.
A movie with more or less ghosts in this one. We'll find out.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Mark Darcy's death qualifies for a Final Destination
That's right.
scenario.
That's true.
It really did.
Oh my god. Oh man. All right. Before we go,
Speaking of ghosts.
yeah. We gotta leave you guys with an AI song like we love to do. This one this week I think is pretty good. I love it. It's called Eek. The song's called Eek, and it's about some of the spookier aspects of this movie. You just have to find out and take a listen. But all right. But anyways, you guys enjoy that song. Maureen, thanks again for being here, and we'll see you all next time for Final Destination 2.
People are talking at 100 miles per hour. She sat across from me at Ottolenghi, and then I felt the air go cold as she unloaded what she knows. She said, Bridget Jones, bad news, you are not gonna believe it. On occasion, he says he goes, you gotta watch out for jump scares from Mark Darcy's ghost. Do you hear his Mark Darcy's ghost? Still my favorite boy, Mark Darcy's ghost. We've been waiting for this for so long. Bridget Jones, mad about the boy. I wanna see what happens. Now I believe what comes next is magic, and when it's over, turn to me and tell me if what people are saying is true. Am I seeing double or is it a spook? I need to know if my friend was lying for a goof. You gotta watch out in the third act if and when you hear the oh. Do you hear his voice? Mark Darcy's ghost. He'll be the one with the khaki coat. Mark Darcy's ghost. Now we just care about Bridget Jones in general, and some people only care about whether or not there's a cameo. And that's fair. In the afterlife, I've got to believe that he's very smart.